listening to Owning the Buy Box, an IP Secure podcast. This is the podcast for agencies, brands, and aggregators who want to master Amazon, push out unauthorized competition, and take their business to the next level. You're about to hear a conversation that'll help you maximize your growth on Amazon by owning the Buy Box. Let's get into the show.
Welcome to another exciting edition of Owning the Buy Box. As always, I'm your host, Dave Cooper. I'm also the founder and CEO of IP Secure. Today, you are listening to part 3, the final portion of our conversation with Brennan Ursu, the Director of Marketing Strategy for Zoomget, the global leader in the sale and distribution of disposable gloves on Amazon and everywhere else.
So you guys sell, obviously, I think on Amazon at a 3P capacity. Like one of the topics we talk a lot about on the show, and we have brands on, we have agencies, journalists and stuff, and different people with different perspectives. But there's always this debate about what's the right motion on Amazon. Should I be vendor central and work with Amazon? Should I manage my own 3P store? And I'm just curious if you have a perspective on that, and could share it for others, because it's something that's debated a lot. And I think brand protection is really relevant because there's pros and cons to both, right? In terms of the implication of that decision on, I think, your problem with unauthorized sellers and how it may manifest itself. So I'm just curious what you think.
You know what? I'm definitely more pro 3P than I am 1P. I just think that the amount of costs that you're going to be getting from selling 1P and the price control Amazon is now going to have over your product, what price they're going to be buying it for, et cetera, it's just so constrictive to margin that it makes scaling it a little bit more difficult for especially for companies that are smaller or mid-size companies. When you start looking at someone like maybe Nike or Levoit or these very large brands, okay, I can see there's going to be a lot more benefit most likely to selling 1P for them than it would be for someone even as large as us. It's not like we're a small brand by any means. But I would still definitely lean more towards that 3P just purely because the amount of margin that you're going to be saving from that, you can pay for much more supply chain visibility. That's going to assist all of your other marketplaces, not just Amazon, and have some leftover for increasing your growth further.
Yeah. So it's margins, right? It's all about the money in one regard, but in the other, in the beginning, you mentioned too that it's the control, right? It's part of it is control over the channel, and you think if you have more direct control over the channel, you can make it more successful, right? You can optimize that and more successfully. I think there are different perspectives from a brand protection standpoint, because in my day job, like we tend to work with brands, and sometimes they're in a transitional period and they're trying to change the model. Right? They're trying to either get away from vendor central and create their own identity, or they kind of had their own identity and they went that route and it was not successful for them for whatever reason. And, getting a purchase order from Amazon on a regular basis and sort of handing the keys over to them seems like a good deal too, right? On some level. So we tend to work with a lot of them when they're in transition. And I find that the problem is the same, whether you're 1P and you're vendor central, or you control your own identity. I found that the unauthorized seller issue tends to be acute and driven by other elements, right, of your operation. Because at the end of the day, it's really the decisions that you're making about your own supply chain that are probably fueling that, right, over time. What do you guys do?
Oh, definitely. And you know what?
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, you know what? Having 1 foot in 1P, 1 foot in 3P is probably the worst position I think you can find yourself in. It's just going to be, you're getting the negatives of both. You're not getting the pros of both. You're getting the negatives of both, in my opinion.
is in your buy box? That's the key question and the difference between sales growth and brand abuse and revenue loss. Monitoring your buy box is the key to brand protection success on Amazon. At IP Secure, our analytics will drive your behavior. It's not about taking down more sellers, removing more unauthorized listings. It's about knowing who's taking your revenue minute by minute and then adjusting your response appropriately, taking action when necessary and recapturing that revenue. Visit us today, ipsecure.com, to learn how.
At the end of the day, if you have a foot in 1P, Amazon's going to try and do everything they can to take over your entire catalog into 1P and continue moving it over in that direction. You're going to be getting all sorts of brand flags, all sorts of listing issues, because Amazon's going to be putting such immense pressure on you to transition your entire catalog into 1P. And at the same time, if you're trying to detransition from 1P to 3P, how are you going to do that? Again, it's going to be really hard. You already have your Vendor Central account created. You already have that connection and that established connection. You could get malicious sellers attempting to create a 1P relationship with Amazon. After you've removed that connection, you try and attempt to sell 3P again, which again, if that even is possible for your brand. And now you're going to have a malicious 1P seller. And how are you going to figure out, oh my goodness gracious, how am I going to figure out where that person's getting authorized product from and selling it to Amazon?
That's almost
1P?
like the
Good luck
worst.
trying to work with Amazon for that.
Yeah, that's the worst scenario we see, I think, really frequently. We'll talk to the brand owner and they'll say, no, we don't work with them. We don't have a Vendor Central. And then there's Amazon with tons of product for sale. And so I think, like you said, part of it is, and I think a part of that dynamic is the fact that at some point in the past, right, they created that Vendor Central relationship and then moved away from it over the years. New people show up, different people running the business, different decision makers, different strategy. We think that's a 3P strategy. And all of a sudden, Amazon is now kind of like your biggest competitor. And so are your own distributors that they're buying from, obviously. I mean, most of what we encounter inevitably comes back to decisions, right, that were made at some point in the past. So what advice then would you give someone, and again, I think through the lens of protecting your brand and the channel, if I had a product that was successful, right, the metrics look good, we are selling more, right, our business is growing, but we're still in the infancy. I mean, are there a handful of things that you would say, Dave, if you do nothing else, you should do this, right, in an effort to set yourself up later for success?
Yes. So first, like I mentioned, make sure that you're on every reasonably accessible channel without overextending yourself, right? Yeah. Second, I would say, look at your financials and determine what percentage can you invest in mid and upper funnel marketing to start creating that brand presence, and how are you going to invest in that in an efficient and effective manner. In my opinion, the easiest one to do is editorial placements. It's effective. It's kind of the start of brand awareness, and it gives you more cred. What you're going to see, you're not going to necessarily see an amazing ROAS or directly from your investment in that editorial. Like, let's say I got placement in the LA Times or a BuzzFeed article or something. Not necessarily going to see a ton of sales attributed from those articles, but you should see total sales increasing, tacos decreasing, and overall just more impact on your brand that way. Maybe even an increase in conversion, because you're going to see people, oh, hey, look at this brand, Gloveworks. Let me search it on the internet. Is there anything else that I can find on it? Is it reputable? Oh, look at this. This LA Times article pops up. Fantastic, right? So there's a lot of benefits.
It's like marketing without marketing.
Yes.
I love it.
So that's definitely one of the more important things to do in my mind. These bigger budget things, a lot more like just brand awareness campaigns that you can run, maybe not the first thing that you should be doing. You should be working up from the funnel should start off at that conversion point, bottom of the funnel. We're talking Amazon PPC ads, and just, really expand those, then start working your way up to mid and upper funnel via other aspects like, even DSP. I think I'm a huge proponent for DSP. I found a lot of success there, even in mid and upper funnel campaigns with regards to conversion. And then I would say video ads. If you look at Amazon, you have to determine, if that's your main channel, what are their goals and where are they moving towards? And if you look at that, there's two main avenues Amazon is heavily investing in. Every single meeting I've been at, we're based in Seattle, so we have the great opportunity of going down to the Amazon HQ every once in a while. And every single meeting, what do they talk about? They talk about increasing business buyers. They really want to expand business customers on Amazon. Second is video. How are you going to expand your video presence both on and off Amazon to kind of play into what Amazon wants growth to come out of, right? If you play the game of whoever's controlling it, more than likely they're setting the rules, you're going to be benefiting from it.
Right. Yeah. I think, sure. And a video is the tool, right, that they are talking about as going to be part of the tip of their spear for that growth in the future. Don't be the guy without a strategy for video, right? Take advantage of that. That's your point. Is like invest in the elements that you see the marketplace investing in, right? And this way your strategies are aligned. And hopefully, as that platform becomes more successful, so does your business.
And at that same point, talking about these mid and upper funnel ads, because everyone wants to be a brand and have that branded search. People sometimes try and do it backwards, going from like, oh, I want to create brand awareness, and then, oh, why am I not getting the returns from it right out of the gates? First off, probably not going to see a great ROAS from your upper funnel ads, from your awareness and contextual campaigns. It should funnel down in your retargeting ads, and you should see increases in conversions and sales there. But before looking at any of that, what are your conversion rates and how are they benchmarked against other people within the category? I mean, Amazon, they show you that data within the Amazon AMS platform. You can look at, hey, this is my category. What percentile am I benchmarked at for conversion, for purchases, contextual awareness, et cetera? And then what does my conversion funnel look like on Amazon? Looking at the brand analytics dashboard and the search query performance reports within Amazon, I'm looking at, hey, I really want to do a big push to create, get top half of the first page for, nitrile gloves, right? A bigger keyword in the category. What does my conversion funnel look like on that keyword? Is my listing optimized to a point where, it's better than the industry average? If you're not better than even just the industry average, maybe you should take a look at your product first. Is it a product problem, a price problem, or a listing problem, right? And then you should also look at your click-through rate, especially on your mid and upper funnel ads. If my click-through rate is not higher or at least as good as my, lower funnel ads and my mid and upper funnel ads, I'm probably not targeting the right people, right? That's what you should be considering. So there's a few different ways you want to look at that.
Yeah. I mean, that's all excellent advice. And I think, and again, one of the things that to me kind of strikes me as common through all of them is you need to own the buy box, right? For any of those strategies to be successful, irrespective of the sequence of events, right? If you're driving customers to a place to interact and purchase your product, be there. Be the one who's there when that happens, right? I mean, it seems simple to us, but, there's a reason folks listen to the show, and I think it's because these are problems that impact everyone. And a big part of what we're trying to do is make people aware that from an e-commerce perspective, you have a stack, a best practices approach, call it whatever you want. It's your toolbox, right, of things that matter to you, that are important, that have probably made you successful throughout your career. Brand protection should be in that box. And like all the other things, throttle it, right, and deploy it in an intelligent way. but it needs to be in there because it's that one thing that kind of kills it all, right? That destroys the entire strategy. And so we're on a mission to help people figure that out, think about it. If they can learn one thing from the show, great. And more importantly, Brennan, I think guests like you come on and share their stories, and Zoomget seems like a really great company. I mean, I think it sounds like, well, it doesn't sound like, clearly you guys are very successful in this space in a highly competitive market. And you're thinking very strategically, right, about how to protect your customers, protect your brand, and take advantage of every buying opportunity that's out there. So we really appreciate you coming on the show today and, sharing your perspective. If folks wanted to reach out to you, would that be okay? And if they did, what would be the easiest method?
Sure. Yeah, of course. Folks definitely can feel free to reach out to me. LinkedIn's always going to be a preferred method. It's just going to be my first and last name, Brennan Ursu. Definitely feel free to discuss. Always happy to discuss and strategize with everyone.
What do you think's next for Zoomget? What's the next big area that you guys see growth or potential growth?
Definitely. I mentioned geographical expansion. The other end of that is product diversification, product expansion. You look at bigger companies like Shark Ninja. Where do they invest the most? It's in product diversification, product research. You got to expand your total addressable market. Amazon has that glass ceiling on brands. For their own protection, it's going to be hard to expand past a certain stage. You got to diversify your products, and you got to create and find those areas where I can take now advantage of all my current customers, my current brand awareness, cross-sell. What am I doing? I'm increasing customer lifetime value. I'm increasing potentially repeat customer purchase, and I'm also increasing my total addressable market. So now you can get real exponential growth continuously year over year.
Yeah. It's not about more conversions. Maybe it's about repeat conversions. Right?
Correct.
Create those repeat customers by providing more value and diversifying your product portfolio. Good advice, Brennan. Thank you so much for the time today. We really appreciate it.
Definitely. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for listening. This is Owning the Buy Box. Thank you. You can check us out on Spotify, Google, Amazon, everywhere you listen to your podcast today. Thanks, everybody.
You've been listening to Owning the Buy Box, a show from IP Secure. Never miss an episode by subscribing to the show in your favorite podcast player. Please give us a rating, leave a comment, and share episodes that you love. That helps us keep delivering you the tools you need to sharpen your competitive edge and ensure your authorized sellers always own the buy box. We'll see you next time.